Lord Morris of Manchester.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name in the order paper and declare an interest, not pecuniary, as architect of the Archer inquiry.
My Lords, we take this issue very seriously indeed. We will respond when we have given my noble friend Lord Archer's report the consideration that it deserves. My Lords, whilst successive governments acted in good faith, the serious infections inadvertently contracted by these patients as a result of their treatment have had tragic consequences. My Lords, I am deeply sorry that this has happened. These events were the subject of long-concluded legal proceedings, and the government has established 3 schemes to provide financial assistance to those affected.
My Lords, as ever, I'm grateful to my noble friend. Is she aware that when I set up the inquiry 2 years ago, already 1,757 haemophilia patients had died from being infected, that the death toll has now risen by over 200, and that many more are now terminally ill? Is she further aware, and again I most warmly thank my noble friend Lord Archer, Dr. Norman Jones and Judith Willis, that their report, exhaustively researched and powerfully argued, is by common consent one also of excelling integrity and humane concern for arguably the most stricken minority in Britain today? My Lords, is it too much to ask in their name now for a response of matching concern and humanity from Whitehall and Westminster?
First, can I pay tribute to my noble friend for his lifelong work in this area and other areas of healthcare. I understand that he made the first call for an inquiry on these issues in 1982. Can I join with him in his tribute to my noble and learned friend Lord Archer for the work that he's undertaken and for the magnificent report that he's produced? We have every sympathy with those who've been affected and their families, and we recognise that this has impaired the lives of many people. Lord Archer's inquiry investigated the circumstances surrounding the supply of contaminated blood in the 1970s and 80s and has made many detailed recommendations, all of which we will be seriously considering, and my honourable friend, the Secretary of State, will respond as soon as we are able.
My Lord, could I also declare an interest as a Vice President of the Haemophiliac Society? Could I ask the Minister if she would agree how important it is, as the inquiry says, to collect data of this very dangerous and serious situation of blood safety? And would she agree with me that there are some very worried people at the moment who may have variant CJD?
The noble lady points to a very important point because, as noble lords will be aware, very recently, in fact it was 17th of February, the finding of VCJD in a haemophiliac who died of other causes was announced, and it is not surprising, therefore, that people with haemophilia remain concerned that history does not repeat itself. We're taking this very seriously indeed, and investigations are ongoing. At the moment, it seems likely that the exposure was due to contaminated blood products in the mid-1990s.
Crossbench.
Be offering further support to the Haemophilia Society, which does some such important work in this area as a result of this inquiry.
I know the Haemophilia Society's work was absolutely vital to the production of this excellent report, and they do a wonderful job supporting people with haemophilia across the country. My Lords, they've received core funding under Section 64 of the General Scheme of Grants for a number of years. However, this is not intended to be a permanent source of funding. So we did inform them, and I have discussed this in your Lordship's House before, the Chief Executive, that we intended to taper their core funding for over 3 years. However, I know that officials are in discussion with the Haemophilia Society about funding opportunities, because we are very keen indeed that they should continue and develop their important work.
My Lord, what policies?
My Lord.
Policies. Thank you. My Lords, what policies does the government have currently to prevent transmission of infections to haemophiliacs via blood products?
The noble lord will be aware more than I am, indeed, that in 1985 heat treatment for plasma-derived blood products became available, and this removed the risk of HIV and hepatitis C, and all blood donors are indeed tested. To remove any potential for transmission of infection through donor-sourced products, since 1998, all children in the UK have had access to recombinant, that is synthetic, clotting factors, which of course therefore are completely safe. In February 2003, the government announced additional funding to extend availability to adult haemophiliacs in England, and all haemophilia patients are now eligible for treatment with the synthetic products. We'll continue to provide funding for that. We are committed to this, and expenditure on these products has risen from 21 million in 2004-05 to 46 million in 2008-09.
Lords, there is an expression which I was brought up with, which goes, fair words butter no parsnips. Which fair words butter no parsnips. I'm on my feet. No, why should I break the habit of a lifetime? Fair words butter no parsnips. Would it not be much easier just to say that both governments have made a terrible error in this issue and compensation will be paid, period? That's all that needs to be said.
All governments have been apologising for this since 1987, and there are funds available for those that both governments have established.
My Lords, does the noble Baroness agree that perhaps the most chilling point in the noble Lord Archer's excellent report is that many of these people were infected as a result of being included in given experimental products without their consent or their knowledge? And in light of that, does she agree that the current system of compensation for people is inadequate and ineffective, and that the Department of Health and the Department of Work and Pensions need to act rapidly to ensure that these people who still survive no longer face an uncertain future in dire poverty?
My Lords, £140 million has so far been given to the people who are infected. And we will be considering carefully Lord Archer's recommendations, particularly relating to payments for infected individuals and their carers.